Hey there everyone, AJ back again for the Mighty Gluestick channel. I make videos about Dungeons & Dragons lore full-time and have a collection of over 700 videos on monster ecology, fantasy world history, character classes and magic items on this channel. If you like what I do, please consider becoming a member of the channel by clicking the join button down below or backing me on Patreon where you can get access to all of the scripts I write for these vids. Members of either also become members of the Secretive Gluminati on my Discord server. And of course, subscribing to me here as I upload at least twice a week and have a live stream every weekend. Following on from a discussion on the fungi found in the Underdark, which was the last ecology video like this one that I've did, I think it's time to take a look at the flora of the surface world on the planet of Toril. There are a huge variety of sources to consult for this lore, not only the Forgotten Realms campaign setting books and the various regional guides from the Moonshade Isles to the eastern realms of Karatur, but also Dungeons & Dragon magazine articles, Volo's and Elminster's guides, and a string of novels, each contributing a wide variety to the list. A most excellent resource now available at Drive-Thru RPG is Plants and Fungi of the Realms by B. Simon Smith. Link down below. Well worth picking up. It covers quite a lot of the plants that are covered in the realms. I know most players who have been running the recent edition of D&D and the official adventures will be most active in the north of Faerun and the Sword Coast, so that's a good place to start to take a look at those plants that are more common in that region, starting from the far northlands, 10 Towns, Icewind Dale, the Great Glacier, the Ice Rim Mountains, Pelvuria, as well as Spine of the World Mountains. Some of the plants and stuff that you find on their way to the Silver Marches, the northern border of the Anarok Desert, Vasa and Damara and Narfell, but would be rarer further south. So let's look in the cold north, where edible berries are a treasure. Fetching up to 1 copper each, you can find the Alathorn as dried berries used to make strong and bitter tea that wards off the chill. The folks of Neverwinter swear by it. In the wild, you can spot this scraggly bush even in places where extreme winter weather wipes out most other plants. Thorny, with large waxy leaves only growing here and there, it seems like the plant's on the verge of death at all times, until you dig it up and discover that 80% of the plant lives beneath the surface. The top of it really is just for sprouting little flowers from a month or so each year, followed by berries that bears eat most of the time unless someone else beats them to it. Butterspice weed is a short leafy plant growing in northern Faerun. You can easily spot the large yellow flowers on its top. These are plants that tolerate all sorts of conditions, and you can see them flourishing right on the border of the hard alpine zone where most other plants can't survive. It has little use other than drying the leaves and smoking them, so quite popular with halflings who cultivate them just for that purpose, as they enjoy the spicy flavour. You might be able to sell some to them, but few others will be interested in it. Calathil grows mostly in mountain ranges on the continent. It's a tough and curling vine with clumps of waxy leaves with small white flowers that grow from granite crags high in the mountains, so usually very difficult to get to. Most Goliath and dwarves are experts in harvesting the bright blue berries. The Goliath eat the sour berries. The dwarves, of course, brew them into wine said to impart feelings of invincibility. One thing to be wary of, though, in northern Faerun is a fungus called corpse bomb. If that wasn't enough to ward you off, corpse bomb. The fungus begins life as a tiny spore that floats along until inhaled by a creature and lodges itself in the moist tissue of the lungs. Residents of the Forgotten Realms in the north in particular know the sound of that hacking cough. The spore then begins to grow, causing irritation, pain, and finally death once the fungus has reached a sizable mass. Once the host creature has perished, the fungus increases growth rapidly until it pushes a hollow tendril forth from the flesh. At the exposed end of the tendril, the fungus begins growing a thin membrane, which is inflated by the gases produced from the rotting body. Within the walls of the membrane are numerous spores, each one looking to continue the cycle. The membrane inflates to a considerable size before violently rupturing, sending spores outward in all directions. The gas within the membrane is, of course, highly flammable, which is where the fungus receives its name. Only found in areas with heavy snowfall, the aptly named ice flower thrives in Icewind Dale and Great Glacier and Ice Rim Mountains of the far north. It's a short plant with feathery leaves and a single lovely blue flower that blooms when the near-dead plant regrows in the summer months, only to die off again in winter. The trick to this remarkable regeneration is the root system. that is hardy enough to be dug up and used to support a small roof of a circular hut, which is its most common purpose. Crimson ladies can also be found in the north, a creeping vine that prowls up the side of huts or buildings or trees. It's a weird shade of purple, the vine itself, with wide green leaves and bright red flowers. In summer they look very much like a woman wearing a large red dress, hence the name. These flowers can be steeped in boiling water to make a very poisonous tea called crimson tears. Deva or diva tears, not to be mistaken for the ice flower, also has a blue flower. It's a bit like a blue daffodil, growing up on a leafy stalk and blooming in small woodland clearings in northern Faerun. The flowers produce a thick and sparkling sap that contains many seeds. When the plant is mature, it attracts a lot of attention from bees. Duskwoods, found all over Faerun, including the north, it's a 60-foot tree with a high and dense canopy that shades the ground below, hence the name. The wood is a smoky grey and as hard as iron, fire resistant and good for making ship masts, wooden weapons and support beams for buildings. Felsul is another tree that grows more to the northwest of Faerun. So we're talking Narfell, Vasa, Damara. It's a dark brown wood and the bark that flakes away from a gnarled and twisted trunk, making the tree quite short and rugged, growing in terrain most other trees could not tolerate. It has soft wood and aromatic flowers and acts like cinnamon or cloves, as it helps numb a sore tooth when chewed or reduce nausea if chewed. The small flowers are pretty and colourful, also valuable as they have a unique spicy aroma much loved by perfume makers. Flame petals grow in the Silver Marches and Northern Dale lands. They bloom in the summer and have highly valuable flowers that are large and red, tipped with yellow and sprouting bright orange tendrils which wave around in the wind, looking to all the world like flickering flames. They are spectacular and fetch an outrageous price outside the Dale Inns and Silvery Moon, especially around the summer solstice celebration seasons. They're regarded as being lucky plants in the Dales and they're cultivated by people within the borders of their gardens as they believe that they promote other plants' growth. Fleshwort is a stubby plant with grey stalks and furry olive leaves. It thrives in areas where dead bodies can be found. Often the plant will be seen in the site of recent battlefields or where the dead were quickly buried in shallow graves. Some healers use the fibrous body of the fleshwort to speed the healing process. Golden web is a fungus that spreads between tree branches in northern Faerun. It has a lattice structure very similar to a spider web that glows gold when light shines through it. A false luster that has earned it the nickname Goblin's Greed. It's actually useful stuff, as it acts as an anticoagulant and is very absorbent, so it's very good for packing in and drawing out toxins, poisons and infections. It takes a long time to gather, but you can get up to 5 gold per pound for the stuff. Human beans grow all over northern Faerun, close to the ground and with mottled green stalks and soft oval leaves that grow in little clumps. They grow long pods filled with about a dozen light brown beans, which are very nutritious and can be planted to grow in company with corn, as the two grow very well and benefit to each other. Human paste is the equivalent of baked beans in Faerun. Hands of Laratha, native to northern Faerun, these golden flowers look like a pair of hands pressed together in prayer. This is why the plant is named after Saint Laratha, a cleric of Tamora. This is Tamora's chosen plant, and like other gods, she will often send plants as a sign of her favour, but otherwise it has no real benefits. The hellthorn is a variety of bush that grows throughout the heartlands of Faerun. It's known for use in the creation of a specific form of medicinal drought in the combination of a plant with a plant called hoofleaf. The thorns of the hellthorn are boiled down with the hoof leaves, and it's good for restful sleep, itchy skin, delirium, and emotional extremes, so people who are in rage or grief. Helmthorn is common throughout Faerun, particularly the Forest of Worms in the Western Heartlands and throughout the Nether Mountains. Helmthorn gets its name from a large, imposing black thorns, often used as needles and dart points. The thorns can grow as large as an adult's hand. Helmthorn's indigo berries are often harvested to be eaten or fermented into helmthorn wine. Occasionally, the plants will sprout a sprig of red berries, which are highly prized and sold for 1 silver each, because when the spell Goodberry is cast on one of them, the effects last a full day longer than usual. Hyexal trees are common in the Dale lands, the Rorvan and Delember Vales, and usually grow to about 30 feet tall. They have sparse branches that curve to make an oval shape overall to the plant and have a silver-green bark. The wood itself is green and produces dense smoke when burnt. The bark is useful in bookbinding and is a sealant in buildings. The wood is no good for building, but makes great firewood for cooking and or serving meats, so smoking meats. Only found in the Starwood forest in Cormanthor, the hinny is a giant flower that resembles a bright blue buttercup, but with petals 10 feet in diameter, that remain closed in a tight, tough ball for most of the year. The plants only open for one day on the first 10 day of spring, and inside there's this little pool of supernatural nectar inside that can confer wondrous benefits to anyone who climbs in and bathes in it, with lots of the nectar soaking into the body. If the flower's petals are artificially opened, it will disintegrate into dust and the nectar evaporates uselessly. Caitlin's weed is found growing within the prairie lands around the Hill of Lost Souls. Now, this is a very interesting location for flora and fauna. Located slightly southwest of the southern border of the Great Desert of Anarog, often confused with another weed called Dragon's Breath, which is poisonous. Caitlin's weed is used as a natural balm treatment for common sunburn. Kinishta grows in Icewind Dale and Icerim Mountains and the Great Glacier. It's a short plant that grows in tendrils across the ground, sprouting broad, fluffy leaves. The Kinishta thrives in the cold environment, growing beneath the ground as a thick, dark-coloured root. Although it is extremely bitter tasting, chewing on the root provides temporary relief from cold, and those that chew it express a feeling of warmth throughout their body and a renewed sense of strength. King's fruit, native to the North Dale lands and along the Sword Coast, is a tree with rich brown bark and soft oval leaves that grow in clusters. It has violet flowers in summer and dark brown fruit in autumn. The fruit has a very hard outer skin that needs to be hit with a hammer, but the insides are sweet and edible with 6 golden yellow segments, kind of like an orange. Radavasta flowers, also from the Dale lands, Sword Coast and as far as the Cormere, fetch up to 1 silver coin per ounce. It's a short purple flower that grows close to the ground. The plant is generally little more than a few floppy leaves sitting above the soil. However, during the winter months, the plant sprouts a cluster of small purple flowers that smell faintly of cinnamon. The petals of the flower are often steeped in hot water to create a tea that prevents pregnancy. Snowwoods of northern Faerun are a pale tree that grows in the north and has a slightly bluish cast to the mottled bark. The trunks of the trees are often thin and dense with spindly limbs and dark green leaves. The mottled coloration of the bark often forms into shapes that vaguely resemble faces, and a few tribes hold the belief that the trees hold the spirits of ancestors that watch over them, so they're closely guarded. The trees are quite remarkable as they can survive in some of the coldest climates and have been seen as far north as the High Ice and the Reged Glacier, home of the Reged barbarians up around 10 towns. The roots of the tree often stretch deep, anchoring the tree in places where other vegetation would find it difficult to find any purchase, particularly in the windy Icewind Dale. Takara bulbs can be found in most mountain terrain of Faerun. It's a large bulbous mass that grows half a dozen shoots that each end in a single leaf. The bulb is dark brown or even red in coloration, while the leaves are a light green with red veins. During the spring, a single large red flower forms in the centre of the bulb, and the bulb can be harvested and eaten raw, although it often tastes better after having been cooked. Many small mountain villages cultivate the bulb as the plant grows very well in rocky soil, so it's kind of like mountain cabbage. Yagdav bushes of the northern Faerun are important for druids as the flower petals are often dried and ground to make a tea that promotes fertility in couples that are having difficulty conceiving. It's a rather robust bush covered with waxy stiff leaves. The Yagdav is prominent in the north and sometimes used as topiary decoration by nobles during the winter months, and the bush grows small yellow flowers which are quite pretty. And that, my friends, is just scratching the surface of the northern variety of plants in the Forgotten Realms. Faerun has many different climates, like the Anarok Desert, the Kalimshan Desert, the jungles of Chult, all over the place. It's got, well, we've got some well-known exotic local plant and fungi life pretty much anywhere you go. The northern regions of Faerun I don't think are particularly well covered in that regard in recent source books, so I'll be back with more plants and fungi of the realms for you to enjoy and use in your games very soon. Thanks for listening.